after the Snow White thing, I'm gonna be honest, I will be shocked if she gets cast in almost anything.
What is it like for you now having all of this? I think it's a lot of pressure, right?
It's definitely a lot of pressure, but I surround myself with very good people who keep me grounded and try to just stay as true to myself as I possibly can.
2.3 million dislikes. Imagine having that much of a dedicated hater base. That's insane.
She couldn't keep her mouth shut.
Disney made a big choice, but they didn't tell anyone about it. No movie trailer, no movie poster, no countdown, no fancy movie premiere. After almost 2 years of excitement, fighting, and trying to fix problems, Snow White just disappeared. The remake movie that was supposed to be a big Disney Plus movie was gone. No big push around the world, no ads, no big celebration. And now people who know Disney secrets are whispering, it wasn't just delayed, it was canceled. Because when the release date came, Disney said nothing, not even one tweet. Why? Because of one name Disney can't afford to protect anymore, Rachel Zegler.
Lonely, very lonely. I just know that if that loneliness can exist, help in other things, and I will be okay. Maybe that's what we can take away. Regardless, this is not supposed to be anything other than insightful. And this is what I do best. Just know that I am the most grateful person alive. But I'm also keeping it.
She was already one of the most controversial actresses Disney had ever picked for a movie. But after the Evita disaster in London, studio bosses reportedly reached their limit. Many sources close to Disney say the company is scared of making the backlash worse by giving Rachel a platform now, even on streaming. One insider even called her a ticking time bomb. And with Zegler still trending for all the wrong reasons, backstage screaming fights, cast members walking out, a $50 million lawsuit against her own agent, Disney apparently decided the risk wasn't worth it.
Our fans are growing more concerned about Disney's new Snow White remake, mostly because of what the lead actress has been saying to the press. Rachel Zegler has been described as a walking PR disaster for Disney. We've heard her bag the classic story before, but there's more.
They didn't just delay the release, they buried it. Because in their eyes, Snow White isn't a fairy tale anymore. It's a brand problem. But that wasn't the whole story. Because the real reason Disney pulled the plug goes much deeper. And it all started when Rachel Zegler showed the world that she hadn't changed at all.
Okay.
Long before Evita collapsed, long before the lawsuit headlines started flying, Rachel Zegler's image was already in serious trouble. It started with the interviews. When the first trailers for Snow White came out, fans expected Disney magic. What they got was something completely different. Rachel making fun of the original movie, calling it weird, creepy, and old-fashioned. She said the prince was a stalker, that the movie was being rewritten to show modern ideas, and that Snow White didn't need saving anymore. The internet exploded, and not in a good way.
You know that you've told me before that your version of Snow White is different, and it's more of a 2022 version of Snow White. What did you mean by that?
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Super weird.
So we didn't do that this time.
Audiences weren't just upset, they were offended. Decades of love for a timeless story dismissed with a smirk. But it didn't stop there. Red carpet clips started going viral, not for fashion, but for Rachel's attitude. Sarcastic, dismissive, cold. The girl who was once praised as Spielberg's breakout star now seemed above it all, arrogant, entitled. Even fans who supported her early on began to pull back.
Cartoon was made 85 years ago, and therefore it's extremely dated when it comes to the ideas of women being in roles of power and what a woman is fit for in the world. And so when we came to reimagining the actual role of Snow White, it became about the fairest of them all, meaning who is the most just. and who can become a fantastic leader. And the reality is, Snow White has to learn a lot of lessons about coming into her own power before she can come into power over a king.
She was accused of being ungrateful, too online, and completely out of touch with the Disney audience, the very people she was supposed to win over. And behind the scenes, things weren't any better. Multiple sources from earlier productions said she was difficult to direct, hyper-controlling, and constantly fighting with senior crew. Still, Disney pushed forward. They hoped the drama would fade, that the film and Rachel could be saved with the right PR campaign. But it never faded. In fact, it got worse.
I never want it to come off as me being ungrateful for the opportunities I've had. When I say that this has been the biggest adjustment of my life, understanding the way my life operates now, being who I am, and the things that I've been so fortunate to make, it comes with so much ground. So much ground that I never thought I would be able to cover, and that people think I'm doing poorly, and other people think I'm doing gracefully, and I don't think I'm doing it at all.
If Rachel Zegler's reputation was already hanging by a thread, Evita didn't just cut it. It set it on fire. The West End production was supposed to be her moment of redemption, a chance to step away from the backlash and prove she could command a live stage with elegance, discipline, and grace. But what actually happened behind the scenes wasn't just messy, it was catastrophic.
Be normal. Normal things are happening.
Steady.
How are you?
What a pleasure. Nice to see you again. Hi. Nice to meet you. Great to wonderful to meet you. All right, let me introduce you to everyone. Michael Harrison, our other producer. Hello. Hello. And of course, Andre.
Have you met him in life? No, what does he do? Don't ask him. What do you do? I just do my best.
That's the best I've ever seen it.
Can't wait to see you at the Palladium. My favourite theatre anywhere, actually. Of your fantastic cast. It's going to be a sensation, I know it. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
So she said she was scared of the original cartoon, watched it once, and never picked it up again. She should have watched it a few times and maybe became more familiar with the story. And before the script went through such a dramatic change that it sounds like she had a part in, Disney, and accomplished with that. Obviously, it was their production. You should have, watched it a little closely and maybe stayed a little closer to the original blockbuster, wonderful story written by whoever it was, but produced by Disney.
Reports began surfacing within weeks of rehearsal starting. Whispers of tension, walkouts, and chaos behind closed doors. Crew members allegedly quit mid-run. One source claimed Rachel screamed at a lighting operator for not hitting her cue on time. Another said she refused to rehearse certain scenes if the creative direction didn't align with her vision. And then came the leaks. Private rehearsal notes, anonymous testimonials from cast and staff. One alleged email described the environment as hostile, calling Zegler's presence unsustainable for the production. It was déjà vu. The same troubling patterns that critics had pointed out during Rachel Zegler's time on Snow White were now happening again, this time on a London stage with Evita. But unlike her Disney-backed past, there was no studio machine to protect her, no crisis PR team, no safety net. It was just Rachel exposed and falling apart. The headlines, which once talked about feminist takes and fairy tale remakes, now focused on reported meltdowns, professional walkouts, and stories of an actress allegedly so difficult to work with that she was driving collaborators away. The backlash didn't just return, it got stronger. Even fans who had defended her during the Snow White controversy were shocked, seeing no sign she had learned from the experience. According to insiders, Evita marked a turning point for Disney. Executives reportedly realized Rachel Zegler wasn't just a PR hiccup, she was a long-term problem. In the aftermath, Disney allegedly held emergency meetings to rethink the Snow White rollout, not because of production delays, but because they couldn't afford another scandal tied to Zegler. Suddenly, the film went dark. No press release, no cancellation, just silence. Behind the scenes, sources claim Disney removed the film from its internal release calendar, tagging it with the note, "Hold indefinitely pending talent resolution." Translation: the film wouldn't be released until Zegler stopped being a PR risk. Every time she trended online, it was negative. Each interview clip became a new grenade for Disney's image. Executives reportedly feared that releasing the film would reopen questions about why the studio had defended her and whether they had been aware of the chaos brewing behind the scenes. So they changed course. No press tour, no marketing, no comment. Internally, staff were moved to other projects, and Snow White became a topic to avoid entirely. Zegler's ongoing lawsuits, public feuds, and online meltdowns only made the silence longer. For Disney, the concern was no longer just one film, it was the brand itself. In recent years, the company had weathered political controversies, underperforming blockbusters, subscriber losses, and stock drops. Snow White was meant to be a sure thing, a nostalgic, family-friendly win. Instead, it had turned radioactive. From the backlash over casting and the rewritten plot to the removal of beloved characters and woke marketing accusations, every element drew criticism. At the center of it all stood Rachel Zegler. Despite hopes that time would soften the backlash, Evita reignited the storm, and her now infamous quote about not needing a prince only fueled the narrative. Executives began asking a difficult question: would releasing this film cause more harm than good? For many, the answer was yes. Marketing teams warned that putting Zegler front and center again would shift the focus away from the film and back onto her controversies. With Disney already walking on eggshells, they couldn't risk another wave of outrage. The film, once promoted as a major Disney Plus tentpole, had quietly vanished. Social media caught on quickly. Reddit threads, TikToks, and tweets pieced the silence together. One viral tweet captured the mood perfectly. Disney watched the Evita meltdown and said never mind. Many applauded the decision to shelve the project, calling Zegler unfit to lead any major franchise. Others criticized Disney for bowing to online pressure, saying they should have anticipated these problems before casting her. Still, the dominant voice was one of frustration and finality. As leaks trickled out, including a memo describing the film as unsalvageable, it became clear that even Disney insiders were distancing themselves. Now, sources say the company may go further, with some execs pushing to re-edit or permanently bury the film to protect the brand from further damage. Millions have been spent on a project now deemed unmarketable, starring a lead who couldn't do press and carrying a reputation too toxic to salvage. The industry had taken notice. Casting directors were reportedly removing Zegler from shortlists. Streaming platforms were pulling her from consideration. Other film projects she was attached to were put on hold. Even the brand deals, fragrance campaigns, fashion partnerships, magazine spreads had disappeared. The message was clear: Rachel Zegler had become a risk. Not just because she was polarizing, but because she was seen as unpredictable. Too many controversies, too many burned bridges, and no signs of taking responsibility. And that's the heart of the problem. This isn't about one interview or one lawsuit. It's about a pattern that's been building since she declared Snow White didn't need saving and then proceeded to blow up her own narrative. Even her most loyal fans are beginning to walk away. Scroll through older videos and trailers and you'll see it. The shift. Where there was once support, there's now resignation. I wanted to like her, but she made it impossible. What Rachel Zegler has lost isn't just a Disney role. It's something far more difficult to regain: public trust. In an industry where what people think of you is everything and being likable is like money, that loss can end a career. Is a comeback possible? Technically, yes. Hollywood loves a redemption story, but redemption takes silence, taking responsibility and time, none of which Rachel has shown so far. There's been no apology, no public effort to fix relationships, no humility. Instead, she's continued with lawsuits, mysterious posts, and defiance, even as opportunities slip away. If she stays this course, blaming others, doubling down, pushing away allies, she may not get another chance. Hollywood is already moving towards safer, quieter stars, and every time Zegler trends for the wrong reasons, it becomes easier for the industry to let her go. Some insiders predict she'll quietly fade from view. No statement, just fewer roles, fewer appearances, until she's a cautionary tale. Others suspect she'll attempt one last push, a tell-all interview, a rebrand, a pivot to smaller projects. But even that won't work without self-awareness. Because Rachel Zegler isn't losing roles due to online trolls or gossip. She's losing them because the people who matter, studios, directors, collaborators, don't trust her anymore. Not as a performer, not as a partner, and not as a brand.